I won't deny it. I'm a strict. Yeah, gotta get chapstick before I talk. Peace and greetings. Give honor to the source, to the creator, the most high, for making all this possible right now. To the ancestors known and unknown. I'm jumping right into this. Yo, I was just sitting here telling myself, like, how influence is so powerful. Influence. Who's influencing you? Yeah, no, I love. Don't mind what's playing in the background because that's something I was watching. But yeah, how powerful influence is. I'm sitting here like, bro, how powerful influence really is. Who's influencing who? I was like, hey, look at your life for a moment and realize, like, who's been influencing you. Shout out to Imoja. I love this painting. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. But yeah, like, I'm sitting here reflecting. I'm like, yo, there was a time I sit here and was like, yo, young dudes, man, love yourself, man. I cannot stress this enough. Like, let y'all know, man, get it together, man. However you gotta get it together. Like, I'm just a God in light, man. Get it together. No one said it has to be perfect, but just get it together, man. Like, get it together. It's okay to start over. I'm living proof of having to start over, face things I didn't know about, coming to deeper awareness now, more about myself and everything else. I'm like, bro, get it together. The healing journey is nothing to play with. Being more conscious, aware what it is you're doing, having the impact and effect on other people's. I'm telling you, I'll be sitting back and I'm like, wow. Look at your people who is influenced. Who's influencing your life? And even when you're young, you don't even realize, like, how important it is. Who has an impact on your life? Trash ass music. So much is recycled. No one can make stuff original no more unless it's really connected to something, like things that are coming in. I'm gonna make this very clear. The music, the arts, the writings are not, like, a lot of stuff you're seeing now is so regurgitated, it's so manipulated and so forth that it's not even from the original source. When I say source, I mean the source of all things. We come from source. Y'all can describe it as God, the creator, the most high, and so forth. Hey, the higher power of all, which everything originally comes from. With this shift and a lot of things that's happening, again, I'm able to see clearly who is a representation of the old narrative, the old world, the greed, the selfishness, seeing certain characters in place desperately. It's so clear that they're so desperate to, I thought there was something, so desperate to try to make these launches or this catapult themselves into this attention, receive this attention needle, or to fan their fire. You fan their fire, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's all beautiful because, again, they are influenced to a lot of views. And the shift is so vital is because we don't realize, like, how much of an influence the generation before us has had a lot on how we dictate our lives, how we become, learn what it is to be stable, how we, all the influence that we've had to be secure within ourselves, to balance who we are, all those things. Again, the reason I say this is because we haven't had the influence, the most some of us, when I look at my life, I'm like, bro, the influences that have been consistent for us to be more stable, we've had to become that ourselves, if that makes sense. And then even with that, we don't ask ourselves who influenced our mothers and fathers, who influenced our grandmothers and grandfathers. So generations, and then now who are and what is influencing our youth. Now, for me, I'm sitting back, I'm like, bro, when I look at some of these characters, I'm like, what are you really influencing or really giving our children spiritually? That's why I always share with y'all, like, the impact that someone is having on your child's life. And what I realized with this healing journey is, like, it's so beautiful to be able to no one can come along and make me feel shame and guilt around my journey or my experience, because I faced it, because I've acknowledged it, because I made peace with it. And it's a choice when you're choosing to be your peace first, or to love yourself and to honor these things. That choice is to also be that for other people, where they're either captivated by it or intimidated by it, and that's on all levels. People who are insecure, who are intimidated by you being you, it will eventually show, no matter where you are, no matter who you are, and so forth. That can even start as a child. Again, our influences, who are influencing us to be what type of man or woman as we grow into adulthood. Then you have your answers to your learned behavior patterns. Voila! Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the honest of them all? Who's the most authentic of them all? And while things crumble, it's like, whoa, I was like, man, I was sitting here to be influenced to be a drug dealer. And then I'll see some of those drug dealers go to prison. Man, I was influenced to be the next whatever, this big time athlete when everybody wanted to. But you know what? That wasn't my purpose. To fight for something that many years. Having the gift, the natural abilities. When I tell people, when it comes to how, when you, and I'm gonna tell you, even the false identity, even around it, I've seen it happen with me and other people, how they would take on this narrative to feel a sense of validation or get acceptance from people. Like, I used to want to tell myself, it's like I was so close to playing professionally that I would still tell myself like I'm a professional, or I would tell people like, yeah, I played overseas. And in reality, it's like I would tell myself that just because the fact of how many opportunities I had, and then the guilt and shame around that. Had I had better influences or more like a support system growing up, without a doubt, that would have been an opportunity. Because I didn't really care for the NBA. I cared for like experience of going somewhere I've never been. A lot of things to me in the States is so cliche. It's so watered down. It's so manipulated. It's so like centered around one person or this person representing everyone, and in reality I don't even know nothing about that person or this person and so forth. And then it's like, how can one person be an influence or represent all men? How can one person? So when I say I speak for the collective of men, I stand in the gap for the men like my ancestors who didn't have the opportunity, those who were shot, hung by trees or certain things in a country or a place where just because of their skin color. For the men who were abused sexually by women or men young, those men who went to the grave or transitioned without telling their stories. For the men who were beat abusively, emotionally abandoned, emotionally abused, things that really in a spiritual sense that's unseen and unspoken, and at a time where not even 50 years ago they would be criticized or shunned. That's my influence. speaking from my experience, that's more so of my influence of how that will ripple to the young men after me who when you look at the young men individually, and even some of the adults who don't know how to tell their story, that's my influence. Now, I was influenced by men, no matter their demographics, in a country, men that are of a darker shade, who can have more of an influence on life and influence our kids in a more positive, and I don't mean just a good way, in a way where they are having the importance of knowing who they are thyself, the importance of not feeling shame and guilt because they don't make it here. You know, some of those men who know that they are way makers, gatekeepers, and also, but they use or allow what they come into in their earthly status to more so want that, to have their flame fanned, fanned and spread, and built more on a narcissistic template, or more around this self-righteous aspect on so many different levels, no matter their color or demographic. So a lot of those men per se, I'm seeing clearly today that are fading, as I've said before, fading to the back, because there, you'd be surprised at the premonitions or the visions that I've had of certain characters here. I mean, they're literally going from worldly status almost to just a status of just being, no one really caring about who they were at all. Because there's a shift in tide, and that's the shift in power, and that's the shift of the Pluto in Aquarius, or the Aquarian age. And it's funny because they know exactly who they are, and that's the thing about, what is that biblical verse for what it is? What is it? Like, a lot of things are very significant that people overlook. What? Okay, hold on. This is what it's going to play out. And it ain't just men, it's women too. What does it profit? Hold on, I almost had a brain fart. Exactly. And it's funny because the AI pulled up this part. But what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world but lose his own soul? The reason why this is so vital right now is because I'm going to read also, Luke says it too, okay. What is that? Futility of the prioritizing material wealth and worldly success over one's spiritual well-being and eternal salvation. The rhetoric question implies gaining all the riches and powers and pleasures of the world is ultimately meaningless and a poor bargain if it leaves for, what is that? The forfeiture of one's soul and true self. A spiritual cost of worldly gain. The certain points in this is that the soul, or one's internal essence, has an infinite value that far exceeds any worldly possession or achievement. You know what's so funny about this is that, again, I see this play out so much, where if you have been following me or watching, I don't like to say follow, but have been tuned in, there's a video I talk about this, and I'll probably share it on my in my community post or whatever, and it talks about how people don't confuse earthly rank with spiritual status, spiritual rank. Earthly status with spiritual rank, yeah. And the funny thing about this is, like, that's the misconception of things becoming more balanced, is because the spiritual is balancing out with the material. And with that, those with spiritual eyes, or those who are becoming more clear as the veil has lifted and things become more clear, you become more clear in your mind's eye, your spiritual eye first. Those who like to call it your third, but it's your first eye, because spirit happens first before physical. So for a lot of you have very much insight on the influence that a lot of people have had in the earthly status, but don't have higher ranking in the spirit, meaning that everyone's valuable here, but there are people of higher rank in the spiritual, that are in this earthly plane or here. And with that being said, the purpose of things being rebalanced is for balance to be restored in a spiritual aspect and divine justice. Injustice, in essence of what has been allowed and what no longer will be. So while the world was being, so consumed by, again, a generation who gain a lot of their material focus or material, what they call wealth and success. Again, I made it very fucking clear that a lot of them have came through that in very malevolent ways, and very, hitting things spiritually to the natural eye for a lot of you. And then now that it's been made very clear, as a lot of you come into your enlightenment or awakening or more awareness of who you are, your lineage, your bloodline, and so forth. And with that, the beauty of this is that, as it says here, spiritual versus material focus, it encouraged people to reflect on their priorities, urging them to seek a balance that place greater value on the spiritual matters and moral integrity rather than just material gain. Let me tell you something. Most of you call your influences, the people you idolize, it's like a child that never got something when they were young. And it's no difference why I tell y'all how people seek out things when they, how a lot of people got a part of certain industries or certain things very young. Again, they were robbed of their childhood. So they're going to have their awakening or come into certain things just as you did. Some people were just more spiritually aware and, very young. And some people don't care for a lot of material things. A lot of your influencers are people who have influenced the world or have worldly status. Most of them, again, you do not know the foundations of what they've tampered in. I'm telling you, even with the industry, even from your greatest artists in R&B, even years ago, they make it very clear and put it in your face on even how much so where I've got much insight on even how they cover a face or do certain things, and in reality how certain parts of your body, again, represents the feminine. So it's almost like they're hiding something or don't want you to see. But the spiritual aspect of everything is that there's universal law where there's the all, the oneness or just how everything is connected. And you don't know what someone really did to gain whatever influence that they have. So now that things are being rebalanced, the things that are being restored and recovered are the very gifts, talents, or natural abilities that those that were it originally started with. If that makes a lot of sense. Meaning that the last shall be first now. Now, the people who were first, again, there's a deeper understanding that, shout out to Solara, goes into depth of. Solara speaks, or Solara, is it Solara Rising? Rises. It's, again, she goes into depth about a lot of those things on a more metaphysical or, deeper level, emotionally, mentally, and so forth. Realizing that how things are now being balanced and restored. So again, a lot of the people have been so caught up in the material, gaining things materialistically, and even with that, energy is within a lot of things materialistically. So you're talking about things that, okay, I'll give you an example of like a thrift store. A lot of people don't know like a lot of things at certain thrift stores or certain thrift stores, or let's say I'm going to even designer clothes. You don't know the intention behind those clothes. You don't know what's spoken. A lot of energy, what keeps people binded or bound in certain ways. A lot of people who wear a lot of things and so forth, that conjure up things and so forth. Thrift stores hold energy. A lot of things hold energy, a lot of corporations, so a lot of things is being cleared, but first happening spiritual. So what we're seeing play out physically and see the influence people have or had is no more. There's no more. I mean, it's so deep to where, like, you're talking about clothing. You're talking about things, graphic things that have everything is symbolic, man. I'm telling. The symbolism around the intention even put on clothing, the symbolism around even cartoons, music, so many things that you have no idea that literally can pull you in, or with the natural eye, the vibrancy of the colors and so forth, that can in a way pull you towards something, and even how the social media outlets are used. So a lot of things now where you see a shift to where a lot of things were materialized or gaining through materialism. A lot of these people or characters, again, it's not to discredit at all what they've gained. Again, you don't know what and how they've gained it, how they obtained it. And then what is, and see, that's the thing where I said the influence on the youth and so forth. And that's why I was like, man, even younger, the flashiness of seeing people who put themselves out there so much to be seen without even seeing themselves. I've seen this play out through so many different things. People, places, athletes, so many things people that I know of. And what it shows me and it highlights again, they do not have they're not aware of how spiritually wealthy they are, because the beauty of being spiritually in tune, and like I said, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his own soul? The awareness of that is like, what does it profit you to gain so much and have no awareness of your essence, of who you are? Those things will come. But what is your influence? Are you even influencing the youth the importance of their essence? And this is why so many characters are being knocked off their ass. So many things are crumbling. It's the end of their reign. And this is the end of the reign of destruction, manipulation, deception, and so forth. Some of your greatest people are great deceptors, manipulators, magicians, wizards, witches, whatever you want to call them. It's like a movie, bro. And with that, again, it's like, I'll give you an example. Someone just told me this. It's like the movie The Wizard of Oz. When you look at a lot of those movies like Cinderella, certain movies are like showing you how, whether it's a representation of like the darkness or certain things that they can either be consumed by. One of my favorites I gotta watch again is The Princess and the Frog. I believe that's called, yeah. And a lot of those symbolisms, like, it's funny because it's in New Orleans, you know, shout out to my people in New Orleans, and you know, a lot of those things like that, it's like, it's not even just a battle between light. It's like you want to. It's like, I saw something today, an old video. I was going looking at the post. It said sometimes you got to lose the battle to win the war. And even in that concept, it's like, it's not even making people believe that you lost the battle in itself. Is that winning the war is realizing that your influence allows you to win the war. You've already won. I knew I've already won or won up anyone. It's like when you allow people to think that they can come into your life and play with you, or play in your energy, play in your auric field, and so forth. A lot of things that a lot of us have been shown is to realize the spiritual currency we already have. The influence, because again, the awareness around the spiritual awareness of how wealthy we are for the young and so forth, and how we always been like that. When I say you don't know what people done to obtain certain things, you don't know what they have succumbed to, subscribed to in the spiritual aspect. You don't know what they've attached themselves to. You don't know what's attached to them. You don't know what, like, so many things, like when you're talking about spiritual warfare, entities and so forth, you don't know what they bargain. It's so many things that, you know, those who talk about these messages realizing, like, it, in the end result, no matter what they're doing, the seeds that they planted and whatever that whatever they subscribe to, you know how they use the term like the devil always comes collects. This is what you're seeing right now. It's like those things that are happening is a result of people losing their power, or being that they can a system that was draining people from things more spiritually can now, it's like they can no longer siphon or, you know, drain those who, and I cannot stand using that term chosen, but those who are anointed or elected to come into positioning for them to be more of a holistic influence on humanity. And this is where you're seeing, like, again, I've told you how the curtain is closed and people still trying to poke their hand out. People still trying to poke their head, and you'll see this play out through your celebrities, you know, on the world stage, where people are trying their best desperately to trying to influence still desperately the youth, the collective, and so forth. And this is normal, because it's just like a child trying to seek attention without having the internal security of knowing, again, this is a difference of the wheat and the chaff right now. A lot of people that you know to be of certain influences on an earthly status that may seem that they're more valuable than you, they represent the chaff. Those who are a representation of the wheat, when you look at a wheat field, if you don't know, you can Google it. If you've ever seen a wheat field, let me tell you something. That's something I've seen before that's so miraculous when the wind blows, because even the wheat in itself, it shows the abundance, the limitlessness. Just like corn. You know, you can't just look at when you just look at a field, you can't just count it. And see, that's the beauty of those who know that they are limitless or boundless, or even just the fact of having the awareness of their spiritual currency that cannot be bought, that no matter what they've gained materialistically, they know that this is just something that I cannot hold on to. And that's what currency is. See, the spiritual currency in that is knowing that everything begins with water first. See, notice how I said spiritual currency or spiritual wealth and earthly status. See, a lot of people missed their mark or became so consumed by that which is earthly, which they assume, again, from generations before, kept them materialistically secure, but not spiritually protected. I've been wanting to finish this up on my previous video. Again, a lot of people you see earthly wise, and this is for some of us who know how divinely guided and protected we are, moving amongst a world that we know that is, you know, of spirituality or spiritual significance, but still realizing that some of these people are not safe at all. And what do I mean by not safe? They're not protected spiritually as things are starting to crumble, and you will be able to see that because their life will reflect that. And I don't say sit back and clap for their fall. Absolutely not. I'm able to have compassion for myself and realize, like, I can put myself not so much in their position, but I realize it just shows that the inner work that they've never done. They didn't face a lot of things. They didn't want to, or they didn't care to. And that's a lot of us. Like, the source is like sees us as like a child of, like, everyone's like children running around here. Everyone that either does not want to learn the lessons, or, you know, on the deeper soul spiritual level, they didn't want to learn the lessons. They all come here to learn something. And it's like either that or be chastised by the Divine Father. And the Divine Mother, what's so beautiful about the Divine Mother rising is that this time around, this lifetime, for those who are in tune with the matriarchal aspect of what I speak about, she has returned to protect those because of what has been allowed So much so in the last hundreds of years, the eons and so forth. What has been allowed will no longer be. Because when mama come in, big mama, she not going for that shit. If you ever seen a lioness protect their cubs, you know exactly what I'm talking about. See, you got people parading themselves as kings, as men that have lost sight of the feminine attributes, who have lost sight of mama, who have lost sight of the femininity, which gives birth to what the fuck they're creating and have built. And this is where they, due to their false empowerment or false influence, or their false prophesying, or even, you know, their influence catches up with them all. It's all going to catch up with them. How they have influenced through their status, through their earthly status, through their materialism. And then some of them still having given insight through messengers or people of, hey, your reign is coming to an end or is ending. How do you want to balance this, per se? How do you want to bring balance? Are you going to be accountable? Are you going to tell the truth? This is how a lot of them will come into their awakening or spiritual insight, because even some of them, due to their earthly gain or whatever they gain, so forth, but their karma is not excluded. They're not excluded from Big Mama. They're not excluded from these mother deities and energies that's coming, that's showing them like, hey, you will have nothing without the mother. That you have influenced the other men and other people to believe that women aren't valuable, our daughters aren't valuable, our children aren't valuable. You have influenced them that. You have got so caught up in gaining so much more material things that you have lost. Again, you have got caught up in the profit of gaining so much earthly status that you have forgotten about what? Your essence of what you came here and how you came here. What you came here to be and how you came here to evolve. So again, a lot of people are in certain status to gain what? Still gain more insight. But a lot of them are so prideful, and pride comes before the fall, and you're going to see that play out with a lot of these people, whether men or women, the women that's behind them as well. They also too, through their sorcery or through their influence, have put in their men's ear, manipulated and so forth again, a woman has a power to destroy a nation with her mouth. That also goes with not just her speaking ill will, that also goes to the sweet talk, the misuses of her magic, her energy and so forth, that a lot of you don't see. And these are the same women behind the scenes who in their, you know, covens or clubs and so forth, who give these men this spiritual insight, this you know, to influence them to keep going and not realizing there are repercussions, there are consequences. Balance shall be restored, and with their empire and what they built, they too will fall along with them. I'm just a messenger. It is what it is. So again, now these things are being made very clear when it says, what is it, profit of man? Again, men aren't just again, what you see patriarchally, you also have to see the balance of what has been enabled or influenced matriarchally. So this is why I always tell y'all about the accountability around, if you're going to hold a man accountable, hold the woman who's behind him accountable. What was his influence by his mother? That's another thing about what destroys nations and what people in their world, in their own world bubble, create in their own universe as an individual. How your mother influenced you when you were young, how to treat women, whether unconsciously or consciously. Same thing goes for women. You're in a society where you've been influenced to self-sabotage and self-sacrifice and give your energy to certain things, and again, there's consequences. You gained all that stuff through your network. You gained all that shit through disrespecting yourself and disrespecting women. What the fuck? You gained all of that shit and not realizing as you're teaching other women to do this, you know, nothing harmonious, nothing peaceful, nothing to really prosper to use and to influence other women, you too will be held accountable and have consequences. You don't gotta like it or accept it. Guess what? I'm just a messenger. So again, the shift is here. There's consequences, and a lot of y'all get y'all spiritual ass whooping because you can't say you didn't hear the message. And even when you see it and don't share it, guess what? There's still consequences. I'm just a messenger. Like I said before, y'all will quickly share other stuff that knowingly you know deep down that it's unhinged, it's cringe, it's like, ugh. But a lot of you have the power and influence individually to have an impact right where the fuck you are, and you choose not to do it. There's consequences to that. That's just like I don't care what you follow in life, religiously, spiritually, and so forth. If you represent or have a connection to the divine mothers or anything of the divine father and so forth, that connection of the divine mother that's already made her grand appearance, guess what? You too right now can't say you did not receive the message because you represent the divine mother. Even in your woundedness, you just refuse to see the divine within you. Same thing with men. You represent the divine masculinity. Through your woundedness, you still refuse it. And this is why I keep telling certain characters, celebrities, and anybody, they too can no longer manipulate nobody. They too can no longer manipulate with whatever their sorcery, magic, anything that they're doing, because that's the beauty of life. It's like magic. Life, everything is magical. It's like being in a movie. When you're walking through certain stuff, that you are magical. That's what makes you miraculous. You're magical. Everything I touch, it ain't just turns to gold. That shit turns to like some type of galaxy dust. Everything I touch prospers. Everything I speak prosperity. I speak love. I speak honesty. Because what I speak returns to me. So imagine if you start where you are. Because you know, a lot of you know. Ain't no one exempt. I don't care who you are. No one's exempt from karma. A lot of you know the influence that y'all cover up. You had an influence. You could have held that father, that person, anybody accountable. That was your influence. Did you hear what I just said? For a lot of you that knows what goes on in your family, or you knows what's going on in the world, a lot of you celebrities, a lot of you people of certain earthly status, that has an opportunity to influence. But again, what does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his own soul? Y'all are centered around or being in the presence of people. When I say they are soulless, that means that they don't have a connection to their essence. They don't have a connection to the divine. It's going to be made very clearly, because the last is being made first swiftly. Y'all can't stop this. As much as people thought that they could use things to block people out, there's going to be a wave. It's going to come in just like this. That's how mama coming in. A wave. As soon as someone try to touch someone that is anointed, or a wave, something comes to protect them. No. And just imagine, like, okay, so I'm going to use certain people of status as like sibling rivalry, right? If we're all children of the Most High or Source, right? Imagine this is like y'all people who say, I'm being funny, like people who proclaim to be followers of Christ or whatever, right? That's your brother and sister in Christ. Okay, that's your brother and sister in spirit too. So what makes you think that you can just think that you're going to get away with, just because I didn't see you do some shit physically, but you did something spiritually, what makes you think you're going to get away with it? I ain't wishing ill will towards you. And just imagine how much shit is going to boomerang and backfire on people who steal. When you say you didn't get the message, it's like mama told you. Like daddy told you one thing, but then when mama come in, you know, this is what's happening right now. It's like imagine the wounded masculinity, or the father has been allowing things to go on in the spiritual sense, and then mama come along, you're like, and y'all know how, those of you know how mama is, like big mama. I'm talking about, I've seen powerful women who will come in and they just give you that look, and the man can't even say nothing. I'm talking about women who know are powerful, women who had that impact and influence to where mama can see right through your ass. Mama can see and know what you done did. She ain't gotta tell you, and she only gotta tell you but one time. But for a lot of y'all, that's what y'all finna go through spiritually. I told you to leave that one alone. This goes in the spiritual community, physical, and so forth. I told you, leave that one alone. Then I also assigned to you to go support that one, and you didn't. Time out. Go sit down. And then y'all don't realize on a grand scale, this is how this energy, the matriarchal energy. I told you, you had this time to tell the truth. That's how mama be. You had this opportunity to tell this truth, or to apologize to your brother. To apologize. I didn't say come in and offer him gifts and manipulate. I didn't say do all that, because I keep telling, mama is the magic. Look at the word ma, magic. And all that has been accumulated over eons and times. Imagine all of this shit build up. I'm gonna use Dragon Ball Z. Right now, the last is like, what is it? The Kamehameha or the, yeah. I'm gonna tell you something. This is how your blessings are coming in. This is how also your enemies are going to be made your footstool. I'm giving this on so many levels. It's like, this is how a lot of you are going to come into what you're doing. This is how mama been. It's like all of that stuff has been building up. And notice I'm going to reference Dragon Ball Z, because it's like, notice that Goku was one of the most powerful ones, right? One of the greatest warriors. And his quest was to what? He did not like bullies. He did not like how motherfuckers he was willing to face anybody. But notice he wasn't doing it on a cocky level. He was confident. He was secure. He did things with integrity. He was honest. But also, when he made that Kamehameha, or that, what did they call that ball? I forgot. It was a name. But notice he got energy from everything, because he couldn't do it by himself. The ones that were first, that are crumbling, who proclaim to do everything by themselves, and they're so independent, they persuaded you to be independent and so forth until you burnt yourself out. A lot of you will see a lot of people of certain status burn themselves out. No different than mama and grandma, because the same system that they were built and grandma did, they still doing it. That's why they still doing it even on their earthly status. They're still doing it even with trying to gain so much more money, as if they don't already have a fucking no. But mama got that Kamehameha. She got that also. Like, didn't I tell you to leave? And all this energy, all this, what do you call it, spells, all this stuff people been casting your way, all that shit being transmuted. All the while, all the energy from, if you watch Dragon Ball Z, how it was coming from the people, it was coming from all of that, and it got bigger and bigger. And every time he needed to destroy something, it came through, it got bigger and bigger, and it literally obliterated or wiped whomever out his opponent was. And this is how, like, I feel the divine mother is coming behind those. For real. Because people ain't learned their lesson. Like, again, you might think you got away with something physically, but you didn't get away with nothing spiritually. Every tear has been accounted for every child that has been mistreated in the last years, hundreds of years. Every tear, every mother has dropped for her child or somebody who was unalive, and placed on the media. Mothers, and this goes for all demographics, but every tear, every blood, sweat, and tear has been accounted for. That's how powerful this is. Y'all don't even realize. And that's how mama come behind people. Like I said, it's different ways. I give you different analogies. It's just like, y'all know. I don't know not one person that's quick to say, I'm finna go get my daddy. Cause they know men are assertive. It's a difference how he coming behind his daughter. But when mama coming behind her son and her daughters, cause it's all connected. When mama coming behind, and that's the thing how I feel. How mama coming behind me. Some of those who know exactly what I'm talking about, again, y'all gotta realize, once you start to see certain characters and know the influence that they've had and could have had on communities and so forth, and they ignore the message, they ignore the mission. If you think for once that they're not going to get spiritually apprehended, is that the word? Yeah, apprehended, ass whooping. Y'all don't realize that's how mama come to collect. That's how spiritual people, that's what spiritual justice is, divine justice. Okay, you didn't gain all this earthly shit without it first being spiritual first. So how did you gain it? How did your influence came to be? Who influenced you to be who you are? Okay, what type of foundation is that? Okay, mama got receipts. The universe got receipts. Oh, you came through this on this. Okay, okay. New game plan, new blueprint. I got some new people coming in. This gonna be the game plan. Okay, because you didn't want to do what you did. Everything is replaceable. Everyone is replaceable. Everything is, I'm telling you, it's gonna be like, as much as people like on their way up humiliated people, their humiliation will be the same in a more public eye. It's almost going to be like a child being embarrassed, because that's what a spiritual ass whoop is going to look like. They got their ass whooped in the spirit, and then they got their ass whooped. You're going to get their ass whooped in the physical. I'm just amazing. Like influence. Things, it has shifted. And then for some of you, how dare you think that you're going to bypass doing certain things to certain people who are here to elevate the masses and so forth. How dare you believe that people don't get insight? Warnings. You got the warning, we got the warning. And the more we become aware of this, the more we become protected. If you think that just because people they transitioned before us, that it doesn't allow us to get more like empowered or feel more, empowered by who we are, I'm telling you, man, this is funny to me. It's funny because we never were hiding. That's the fear modeling. It's like you're taught to just think that people here have so much control. You don't. It's gonna piss a lot of people off, because it's gonna shift the whole foundation. The foundation is crumbling. It's like an earthquake. The shifting power is already here. A lot of you so-called people who are influenced of certain status, you know what you're supposed to do. You know. That's even some. Why y'all be sitting here getting your emotions caught up in certain political people, man? Listen, they have an influence too. That's what people don't realize, whether intentional or unintentional, they have influence too. And they can't outrun their consequences. And it's all connected. It's just right now. We're tightening up the loose ends right now. And boom. Y'all gonna be like, oh my gosh. Not him, not her, this and that. And the same ones who knew that they could have some type of impact in your life at a time, are going to try to apologize. They're going to try to do any and everything. and it's on you to allow access. And be grateful that you didn't have access to what was attached to them spiritually. I'm just gonna let you know that. That's what divine protection is as well. It's like, be glad, be grateful that you. Some things I be sitting there like, oh my gosh. I'm glad I didn't get in these moments. Focus on keeping your hands clean, keeping your heart clean, because you don't even know the blood on people's hands. You don't know what they got into. You don't know what karma comes with them. It's so funny I gave you a representation. Like, that's why it's so easily to see people sign people contractually, and a lot of you don't know the insight of what spiritually is binding them or keeping them in that. That's why you're going to see a lot more people talk about that. It's the same thing through family, so forth. Same thing, people are not going to want to be a part of said corporation, which is crumbling. It's like, once you realize you start to walk away from not doing things more medical and getting things more holistic, that is into you more and more to building a new order of things and watching the other one crumble. And then you're going to be able to see others who still attach themselves. Again, I be sitting back and looking at the energy of people when they drop a music video or when they do this and do that. Those people too are spiritual, dog. They too knowing what they have an influence on. And I just sit back and like, wow, bro, I wish you well. But again, going back to the topic of like, even the source sees us as children, and it's like, some mature, some don't. Some have behavior problems or issues or undeveloped in some ways. I see people just like that in the earthly status. I'm like, this motherfucker still ain't trying to. You still out here doing it. You still talking about the same music. You still thinking this gonna have an influence. You still doing that and thinking ain't no consequences? Man, I can't even fuck with you, my boy. It's no difference in y'all realize that the community, the family, is no fucking difference in industry or anybody else. It's literally just a different environment, a different realm, and it's asking of you. You still gotta have just as much discernment in your hometown as just as much as you anywhere else. Yep. Because everybody going through something and everybody got something to learn. So I'm gonna leave y'all with that. How you gonna use your influence? Peace and blessings. Shalom.